KBBBL podcast. Where the extra B is for BYOBB. KBBBL podcast. Where the extra B is for BYOBB.
Where's my
KBBBL podcast. Where the extra B is for BYOBB.
Where's my elephant?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Did you hear the intro music?
Yeah, but it played like 3 times.
Because I couldn't hear it. What's going on here?
Yeah, I heard it play 3 times.
Oh my god. Well.
Oh my. Well, are we live now? Should we just get into it?
Yeah. We are live right now, but hold on. No, because I have to be able to hear these things. Well, how did that happen?
Hang in there, everybody.
I heard it once.
Yeah. We need that image from Kent Brockman where it's like him popping out of the Jack in a Box thing. He looks crazy and it's like technical difficulties.
Yeah, or the bear. What was it? The one with the bear that interviews people.
Oh yeah, it's like him like holding the woman's hand while she's pouring her heart out.
Yeah, it cuts to that while he's like mauling a guest.
Because he tries to eat from the snack cart. They're like, no, Ben, and then he growls at them. They shoot him with the tranquilizers.
Oh, I heard that.
All right.
Did you guys hear the Quidgy-Bo?
I heard
Quidgy-Bo.
Let's roll right into it.
All right. Now I'm going to launch the thing one more time. That was a false start. All right. Now this is the real start, and I can just cut it for the audio version then.
If it plays 3 times again, I quit.
Okay.
It won't play 3 times, but it will play once.
What is this, Bart's chalkboard?
KBBBL podcast. Where the extra B is for BYOBB.
Where's my elephant?
It's good! It's good! It's good!
Hello,
It's a pretty good episode.
KBBBL podcast, where it's all good. And the extra B is for BYOBB. And what's that extra B for?
Bring back the head.
Perhaps
Beheaded.
a double meaning there. Bring back the head.
Also works.
Everybody.
Yeah, beheaded's good too.
I am your host, Space Davan 4. And with me, my co-hostesses who pulled a few boners when they were younger.
Oh my god. I'm glad I'm not the only one who caught that.
Obadiah and Edgar Allan Poe, whose name I am somewhat jealous of. And we are here to review Season 1, Episode 8, The Telltale Head of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Written by Al Jean, Mike Rice, Sam Simon, and Matt Groening. Directed by Rich Moore. So, seems more like a writer's room for this one.
Yeah.
They all got their name.
A lot of contributions in the writing
credits there. So, fellas, why don't we just jump right into the sweet, sweet shade of our beloved turnip tree.
With a cool glass of turnip juice.
Or
the beer that makes the days fly by.
Beer. Now there's a temporary solution.
Did you guys bring a temporary solution?
I did, yeah. I'm just going through the case I have of Dirty Blonde, so it's another Dirty Blonde, but I'm drinking.
Yeah, this is Baker's wild night of having a tall boy on Friday.
It's the only alcohol I drink.
Dry January.
Yeah, I am. I have another non-alcoholic options from Beck's, which I think is also a German beer like the Heineken last week. It's a little lighter, slightly less flavor than the Heineken. If I had to pick between them, I'd probably take the Heine, but it ain't bad. What can you do? It staves off the cravings.
You have the Schokolade,
Ooh.
which I've never had before, but it's organic, barrel-aged, dark chocolate stout from Big Spruce Brewery here in Nyanza, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. I've been to their brewery. It's pretty nice up there on the hill there overlooking the water. Quite nice, actually.
I haven't been there, but I've heard it has quite the reputation.
I found a sweet fishing spot down the street too. And it sounds right up my alley. So, fellas, I'm about to take a sip for the first time here and let you know.
Yeah, let's see. What's the first impressions on the Davan palate?
Just a speaking of, bring back the head, just enough head there, you see.
Yeah, just
so
enough.
you get the flavors and the aromas. It's all about, this episode's all about head and boners, apparently.
Yeah, a lot of double entendres in this one, eh?
Yeah, a lot of double entendres. I like it. I like it. It's quite a good beer.
I'm predisposed to this episode just because it's got a Poe reference in it. I do like the Edgar
Anything
Allan
to say
Poe.
about this, Francis?
Congratulations.
Francis was once a head kicker himself.
Yeah, I used to compete national level karate when I was a young buck teenager. Now my son does taekwondo now. Actually, right now, Sam, he just got his. He got a black stripe, but it's kind of funny because I don't know how legitimate that is because for the kids,
this is as far as I ever got.
Well, but for the kids, they break it all up. Like he's like legit. This is like his 5th stripe on his white belt, and I don't know if that's like actually part of the grading system or if they just break the curriculum up before your yellow belt for the sake of the kids being able to get a little something to keep them interested. So I don't know if the black stripe has any real significance or if it's just like what this particular club has done for the sake of making the curriculum palatable and like able to be consumed by like 6-year-olds. But yeah, I mean, he loves it. I was a black belt.
Great episode, says cousin Dave. Dave likes the Telltale Head. Any opening thoughts before I get into the synopsis there, fellas?
It was okay. Yeah, let's get into this.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like I'm weird. Like I was a little underwhelmed with it, even though I remember this episode a lot from a kid, and there's a couple gags in there I really like. But I don't know, something about it just didn't really. I got a little bored with it. But yeah, let's get into the same.
I had the same feeling actually, and I had the exact same feeling you said, where I remember it a ton as a kid. I thought it was in later seasons because
it's iconic for sure.
It's one of the super iconic ones.
It's referenced a lot too. That's maybe part of the reason is that it's often cited as one of the big like bad boy Bart moments, where he cuts off Jebediah's head. South Park references it in Cartoon Wars. Super funny. Also the moralizing in this one get a little heavy-handed, I think.
Our introspection. So the chalk gag was, I did not see Elvis, but Eagle Eye Baker here noticed that there was a single line at the bottom that Bart had written that said, I did see Elvis. Yeah.
I can't take credit for that. I did see online, but I paused it and then took a screenshot to confirm it. Yeah, they snuck it in there. And what's wild is that it's not the dominant shot of the chalkboard that you see when it's zoomed in towards Bart. It's actually only visible for like half a second while the camera's panning into the room. Yeah. So very nice little Easter egg on the part of the production staff for this episode.
And the couch gag, Bart goes flying into the air and never returns.
Yeah.
He's into space.
I love that popping again, noise.
Like Bobby Schmurda's hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same feeling. It was interesting.
Baker gets the reference. Yeah.
I love hip hop, man. We can, right. We'll explain it to Davan later.
Yeah, we'll show him some other time.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
Don't mind if I do.
Phenomena. Well, this episode opens up with Bart basically doing a confession.
Yeah. Interesting start. That it starts in media res, like in the middle of the action, and then cuts back, and then it cuts, forward in time again, and then it concludes.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Like I looked at it.
It's like earlier that day, or like an hour earlier. It's just like,
yeah, I thought my Disney Plus was like glitching out. I was like, why am I in the middle of this episode? And I like put it back, and I was like, oh no, they're just doing that. Okay.
You checked for that very same thing.
Yeah.
Also interesting. This is a very rarely used thing in The Simpsons, and I think this might be the first time that we see it. They actually just show you the title of the episode. It just says like the Telltale Head, and like
I have that
white
here,
text.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting choice.
Yeah, it's a real kind of like the way they did it, the way they did the storytelling, that sort of thing. That gives a little off the center from what we normally see. I don't know if they were trying to do it specifically because of the like Poe reference, or if they were just trying something new and decided not to really, run with that kind of thing. But
yeah, it could be the Poe reference. It's hard to say. Definitely the writers liked Poe because we see the Halloween episode coming up. They go back to him. And they reference him all the time.
I also like Poe.
Yeah, oh yeah, I do too. Isn't he one of the jurors for the episode where Homer gets his soul, like the bargain for Homer's soul? I think he might be.
I remember that one.
And it's like the jury of the damned or whatever he says, and he calls
the different jurors. I know it's like for sure.
John Wilkes Booth is there.
Yeah, Richard Nixon. He's like, but I'm not dead. I just published my.
Yeah.
He's like, shut up! I did a favor for you. He's like, yes, master.
Yeah, and like Andy Oakley and Edgar Allan Poe might be there. I can't remember. Yeah. Blackbeard the pirate.
I don't know if he is actually, but Blackbeard's like, this chair be high, says I. He's sitting in the baby seat.
Yeah.
Great episode. I'm excited to get to it. But this episode.
So the family's getting ready to go to church, and Homer's watching the football game because he's got money on it.
This isn't gambling, Marge. It's a lead pipe cinch.
It's not gambling. It's not gambling.
Yeah.
It's a lead pipe cinch he's doing. But so he's listening to it on the way to church, and Marge is not happy with the whole thing because Bart's trying to sneak his Walkman, his little, what does she call it? His personal radio.
Personal radio.
Has it ever been called that, or is that just Marge being very unhip?
You feel like that's
supposed to be that,
yeah.
But then she takes it from him, but Homer sneaks it in because Homer wants to keep listening to the football game. Yeah. So
this is the first really big nagging Marge episode, I feel like. Because we saw Homer in an earlier episode.
It shows how different she is than the rest of the family too. Like the rest of them are all kind of the same. Lisa's smart, but she's still like Homer and Bart in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like none of them want to go to church except Marge today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's kind of get that neat Homer and Bart thing where like Bart gets in trouble for being mischievous, and Homer has the exact same idea. It's like, oh, I can just use this thing now. It's like not any thought to like discipline or what message that's going to send, right?
Laza who?
He goes to church every week, and he's just like, Laza who? What?
Yeah, no idea. Kind of a great little comment on how I think a lot of Middle Americans just don't have much awareness of what's actually in the Bible, or the content of the religion that they participate in.
I did enjoy the Reverend Lovejoy like commentary, and it's actually the announcer while he's doing his sermon. I did find that pretty funny.
Yeah, the way it's sequenced, it was very good.
This is
introduction of Reverend Lovejoy, by the way.
Introduction of like 6 different characters in this episode.
Yeah, a lot of important ones.
Yeah.
Probably a Pooh, the biggest.
I'm sorry, but the answer is no.
Why not?
Because heaven is for people.
What about my cat, Snowball?
I'm sorry, but the answer is no.
Will there be cavemen in heaven?
Certainly not.
Ma'am, what if you're a really good person, but you're in a really, really bad fight and your leg gets gangrene and it has to be amputated? Will it be waiting for you in heaven?
For the last time, Bart, yes.
I just love
the
all
last
these
time.
rules. Yeah,
I love that
okay.
it multiple times has come up.
Okay, straight up though, not even kids. Have you guys ever been in a fucking staff meeting like this where you're like, okay, they're like, this is the one simple thing we're trying to explain to you, and then idiots just keep bringing up the most like far out one-off scenarios. Well, what if this random crazy thing that I just thought of happens? Then your rule won't work, mister. And it's like, okay, but that's fucking not going to happen. Like, shut up. I want to get out this meeting.
Yeah,
Like,
keeping
The
us
reason
here
that
longer.
you can't make a list of rules to account for every corner case. It'll be too long. You just got to have a little bit of flexibility. Is the main
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, I had one of those meetings just the other day, so I know exactly how that goes.
A rigid stick breaks in the wind. Yeah, I love that whole thing there with the heaven and everything.
Today's
Well,
sermon,
really?
which I've entitled Gambling, the Eighth Deadly Sin.
That's pretty.
Is it like, wouldn't gambling fall under like avarice, like greed? Like, I don't.
Yeah, I think that's the joke.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what I thought the
think
joke
so,
was.
yeah.
Anyway.
Oh no, I think it is. It's just it's a very subtle joke. It's nice.
Oh,
There's a lot of-
very.
there's a lot of mix in humor in The Simpsons. You have subtle jokes, you have dumb, like laugh out loud comedy, visual gags.
Yeah, it's already becoming the show it eventually becomes. Like they're already doing these subtle. This one's just not like constant zingers. This one has a bit of downtime at different spots.
But it's setting up so much with the introduction of Revlin Lovejoy, Apu, even Kearney and
Bopple, Jimbo.
The three bullies. Yeah. Up till now, we've just had Nelson.
Yeah.
He's also
They're
the
not
first
together in
appearance
this
of,
episode, though, interestingly.
This fellow here.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
His
Look at
voice is
no
different.
speaking role.
Look how
Well, he
strange
doesn't
he
speak.
looks.
Oh, he just says slide whistle. Yeah.
Yeah, just slide whistles.
But
When he gets
it's a little
called Sideshow
different.
Bob.
But honestly, like the core of it's kind of looking at an Ullman short version of Homer. The core of the character, the idea of it is still there. They tweak him a little bit when they decide to make him a bigger character. But yeah, it's interesting that they had Sideshow Bob this early on. This is also Krusty's first episode. He's on the cereal box in the intro, but this is his first actual speaking episode and physical appearance.
They're really building out the town in this episode because they're all in that angry mob.
Yeah.
So then, Bart
mob,
or Homer gets his bet and he's just like, that's where he's like, it's good.
That's a good gag, I think.
That reminds me of my other favorite Homer outburst in church where he falls asleep and smacks his head and just yells out, "Damn it!"
Does he say "God damn it" or is it just "damn it"? Either way, it's hilarious.
He just says "damn it."
Oh yeah,
screams it out. But this is kind of the same gag, just for the exclamation in church. That's
Speaking of, can we briefly talk about like the church? Like maybe just like generally, but also like as a setting for The Simpsons. I'm curious, did you guys go to church growing up? Did you have an experience like Bart or Lisa?
I went to Sunday school until I was like 5 or 6, and then my parents asked me if I wanted to keep going, and I said I didn't believe in God, so they didn't make me go anymore.
Just edgy atheist.
I know. My folks didn't really take me. I had a babysitter who was Italian, so she of course was a pretty devout Catholic. So sometimes she would take, but not like to like service. She would just like, if we were walking by, she'd stop in for a second to pray. Once or twice she took us to a couple services, but I remember being so young I didn't really get it. But like now that I think about it, like she was elderly, like she was probably like praying and had like sick family members or potentially dying family members and just wanted to pay respect. She go, I got these fucking kids in tow though. But and she used to make us do like the Father, Son, Holy Spirit before we left for school every day, which I mean, some people are like, oh, they were forcing it on you. I'm like, I don't know, it was pretty harmless. It was more just like a sentiment of like be safe for the day kind of thing, right?
I'm not here to talk about the good or badness of religion, really. I was just curious. I didn't go to church regularly growing up, but I did go to a Catholic school, elementary school, just because my parents basically lied because it was a better school for me to go to. He's like, yeah, he's Catholic, sure. So I remember going to like church events for school, which was kind of interesting in retrospect. I didn't really think much about it at the time. And kind of like you, Davan, I sort of just came to my own, I fell out of it. So interesting to see in The Simpsons, where the moral bedrock of the show in a lot of episodes revolves around the church, participation in the church, Christian morals. A little different than I guess our backgrounds, but yeah.
Well, I think too it might be the
Marge
timing as well, like in Middle America or whatever. Like it was a cornerstone of like a lot of families' lives. But again, they take the piss out of it. They're like, when no one takes it seriously, no one really cares. It's just something we all feel obligated to do, and you're constantly being like judged, and especially later when you get like Reverend Lovejoy and like his gossipy wife and everything, and they're just like, we basically get like looked down our noses at to be here anyway, right? Like, what's the fucking point? So I think they do a good. She's a good character, but I think they do a good caricature of like the American sort of lazy religious institution, right?
Because I think even today, statistically, like something like 3/4 of Americans believe in God. Like most Americans are religious, but quite often, it's a sort of more of a social participation in these functions. Like you go to church for weddings and for funerals, and you go to Sunday services because that's where your community members are, and permission. I think that's what we see
in immigrants, right?
Oh, for sure. All those great little.
Ventriloquist goes to heaven, but the dummy doesn't.
Oh, me.
Bart,
what about a robot with a human brain?
I don't know. All these questions.
Is a
little blind faith too much to ask?
See, that's great. I love it because that's the writers making fun of these.
Feels like the old generation talking to the new generation, and the new generation wants answers for these things because and the old generation just like back in my day we didn't get asked these questions. Just leave me alone.
Note that Lisa, she doesn't have really much in this episode, but she does when they come back from church. She comments to Marge like, "Oh yeah, we're learning like all the secrets to life," and she seemed very like disaffected by what she'd been told about. Snowball doesn't go to heaven. It sucks to suck.
Interesting.
And we of course see. If you go back and watch it, you can see that she's very troubled by it. And of course, we see Lisa go through a spiritual crisis. She meets Paul McCartney and becomes a Buddhist. And then Apu sings a beautiful song for her.
First Apu episode as well, Sam.
Yeah, Apu appears in this episode. This is a really significant episode for that alone.
Yeah, it's a significant episode. It's just not super good.
It's just not funny. Yeah, and the moral feels a little less.
It's a little funded compared to like the other ones. You know what I mean?
We can get into that more. The Jebediah.
Whole congregation, and today's sermon was one you should have really listened to.
What was it about?
Gambling.
Oh. He didn't by any chance say that under certain circumstances it was all right, did he?
No.
No. Good try, Homer. But so then they're home from church, and Bart wants $5 because even though he's not allowed to go to the movie because Marge says he's not allowed to go to the movie.
Space Mutants 4.
Space Mutants 4. So
classic.
He asks Homer for $5, and Homer's just like,
share the wealth. That's what I always say.
No, but I like the Homer Bart play here again. Like they're both trying to take the headphones in. He asks for the $5. Yeah. Homer knows he's going to the movie. He's like, hope you're not going to see a certain movie about certain space mutants. And gives him like he's
not a mean-spirited dad. Yeah, he's not a mean-spirited dad. He's a bad dad in many respects. But he gives Bart the $5. He knows he's probably going to go see the movie. But that's what Bart wants to do.
He encourages him to. He's just like, what's a boy without hijinks or whatever? That's when he...
Well, what is a boy without hijinks? My dad showed me Terminator, Predator.
Oh, yeah.
I turned out okay. I think.
We'll get
you got a master's degree. Of course you turned out okay.
Yeah, it's true.
All these people dropping out of university be like, maybe you should have let them watch more Terminator like Baker. He's got a master's.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Bart skateboards down to the movie theater, and that's when he runs into Jimbo, Dolph, and Kearney. Yeah. First time for these three characters. And I actually forgot how funny Jimbo usually is. Like, I think
Jimbo's
he's probably
great.
the
Yeah.
funniest of all of them, but he's quite funny.
Oh,
What does he
He does
say
have
here?
some
Oh yeah,
lines.
this.
Might land on my
Can we-
face and end up looking like you.
You little punk. Hey, man, leave the kid alone. I like him.
You do?
Yeah, you're witty.
Yeah,
You're witty. Yeah.
That's just not what you expect, like the bad kid in an elementary school to say.
It's a very unwitty thing to say, which is what's funny about it. Like, he doesn't have a clever way of saying you're funny. He's just like, yeah, you're witty. I disagree though, Davan. I think that Kearney is my favorite of them. The
He has
recurring
some good
jokes that
moments
he
in
has.
there.
He's
as a
like
child
40 or
is,
something.
Yeah,
he's like yeah, because they'll like
That's
get
a
away from
funny
my
guy.
car and like my
Yeah.
divorce was tough on my kid and all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
But
I
they
sleep
still let
in
him
the
go to
car.
elementary school. And he's still a
Yeah.
bully that like beats up little kids. Like what?
It's great.
He
Great.
should be in
That's a
prison.
great moment. Dolph is
Jimbo
definitely
should be in
the
prison.
least
I'm putting my
relevant,
foot down.
But he has some moments too. Dolph has some moments. They're all good.
Yeah. Jimbo does have some funny lines though,
Guys
as you
are
get to the
sneaking
seasons.
in,
Yeah, only saps pay to see movies. Hey, Bart, come on.
but sneaking into a movie is practically stealing, man.
Practically, it is stealing.
It is
Well,
stealing.
okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't deluding ourselves.
How prescient was that though in the age of like streaming and the internet, about watching movies for free, like only saps paying to see a movie.
Well,
Once
yeah.
again, Simpsons were a bit ahead of their time.
Yeah, well, but I mean that
In
was
some
also
ways.
like at a time where stealing a movie
It was
meant
a thing where you
actually
could-
physically going there and sneaking in, not just saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey, I'll just download this thing and download hundreds of movies at a time."
Yeah, the idea of ownership has changed radically, I think, since The Simpsons. That's part of the problem. Like the idea of watching a movie for free as being theft is kind of into the idea of it being like a physical product. Whereas now we live in an age of streaming where like a lot of people don't ever own the television shows or the movies or the music that they participate in. They're like paying subscription fees. These guys are just sneaking in. So even by today's standards, that's still just,
It's
I
really
guess,
funny. Like
really-
we keep getting sidelined here, but like I was just at Walmart the other day, just I need like a watch battery or something, and they still had like DVDs lined up, and I'm like, who the fuck buys a DVD this day and age? And,
Hey,
like,
man,
and I mean,
60-year-olds.
yeah, and I mean even like 5 years ago, it probably would have been like not that uncommon to still have like your DVD collection, you know what I mean? But
Now, some people are getting a little wary of the streaming services because there's so many of them
Yeah.
now, and they're all pulling their content into different places
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, on DVD, that's good for like collectors who want something physical too. Like some people, movie buffs like this is
Everyone
my,
should
like,
go buy a
wall of my
physical
movie
Deep Space
collection,
Nine.
right?
For sure.
Go buy it.
Uh,
Deep Space Nine physical copies. Go get them. People.
but just very briefly, the Simpsons
Sam
definitely
buys
takes a moral
DVDs,
stance.
Francis.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
there you
That's
go.
a pretty,
Some people like
insulting
to
way
own
I
them.
said it, but
Francis can
It's
be pretty
definitely
bougie
less
and
common.
hoity-toity.
I didn't mean to be
sometimes.
so harsh.
It's definitely less common though. But just Simpsons takes the moral stance that you sneak into a movie theater, it's bad. I'm not, I did study.
Just tried to
ethics a
sneak
little bit.
drinks into the movie theater. I got caught sneaking a pop in my sleeve, and they kicked me
Yeah.
out of the theater because
I'm
back
not-
in the day, man.
Yeah.
Lucky they
I'm
didn't
not
call
here
the
to
cops,
condone
Gavin.
sneaking into theaters,
Yeah, I
but
am.
also I do think that there's degrees of these types of things. Bart is a 10-year-old boy. He's impressionable. Also, movie theaters, you could argue today that it's a little overpriced. I don't
They always
Interesting.
kind of. Well, no, they weren't bad. I mean, I used to go see a movie for like $5.
The
And on
markups
cheap
gotten
nights
pretty.
It was like
pretty wild.
$3.75. I
Yeah.
think.
You know what?
And,
If you don't,
but that was
if
back
you
when
don't-
theaters had one movie for like a week to a month, and it was one movie.
Well, and really, if
So-
you don't buy concessions, the prices are like halfway reasonable. Like it's like $12 for an adult. My kid's like $8. So like if I don't, I mean, you can get him a kid's meal for something like $10.
Scene
So that's not
points.
too bad. That's like $30. As long as I don't want to get a popcorn and a pop for an extra $20, it's not too bad, right? But that's where they get you. Is that like, oh, you want this bag of popcorn that cost me 8 cents to make. That's $12.95.
Yeah. Well, so where are we at here? So yeah, they head over to the Quickie Mart after they get kicked out of the movie because they do get caught, and that's when we see Apu for the first time. I mean, he has a pretty funny first line. He's like, "I got eyes in the back of my head," and then he turns around and they just like steal a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apu, there's so much to talk about with him. We don't need to get into it. I don't think.
I'm sure we'll get into it.
At some point. Yeah, not here though.
Yeah, there's so much we can't cover.
Wait for a bigger Apu episode, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah,
like
he's great.
Sam already started it here with his hashtag bring back Apu. So
I don't even want to touch that. My opinion.
Yeah, we're not going there today.
Too much into the weeds. My opinion. They should just end the show. The show shouldn't really be.
You think they should have ended the show 20 years ago?
A long time ago, probably. Put it out to pasture.
You know, Bart, I've been kicked out of all 4 Space Mutant movies.
Wow, man.
How do they end?
Yeah, well,
how do you know the plot?
You guys ever been kicked out of the theater, or is it just me?
No,
I've been told to be quiet. I've been told to be quiet.
These guys are just they're the other kind of bad kids. They just act nice and get tattoos.
Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking
it's
of,
one thing, like even in my I don't know, I don't care if someone sneaks into a movie. It's just nothing I would do. Like even in my wild days, one thing that never did it for me was theft. I didn't sneak into places. I didn't steal stuff from stores. Or drink or smoke weed or go party, whatever. But it's just something just taking that just never appealed to me in terms of youthful badassery. I was trying to
quench my thirst with the amount of funds I had available.
Yeah,
you were stealing profits from the corporation by.
I think that the things Jimbo and Curtis
corporation.
They're getting into trouble. They're getting into not just
Where's my violin? I need to play a dirge for the corporation.
Yeah,
sure, excuse me a second.
It was a joke. But yeah, you're right. But they're just getting in trouble for the sake of getting in trouble. Is all they're doing, right?
Yeah, not a good influence.
Well, those 3 are little delinquents for sure.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They're on the path to probably doing more serious criminal things as adults.
Kearney already has. Kearney's already 40 and still in elementary school, so he's already failed.
Is it established that he's 40? I thought the joke was that he had a child.
I don't know how old he is, but he's old. He has a kid. Is that the
that's
joke?
What I thought. Is I think the joke is that he fathered a child. Yeah.
No, I don't like that joke. I don't like that joke. I'm not going to go there.
So he's a
until we get
4-year-old in elementary. I got to look that up later.
No. Yeah.
How old is Kearney? Maybe in the middle, somewhere 30.
Bart gets the squishies because he likes to share the wealth, as Homer always says. So then they start throwing rocks. They're at Jebediah Springfield's statue, and
Bart tries to make a stand.
Why are we doing that? Because Jebediah Springfield's pretty cool. He beat up a bear
with his bare hands.
Wow.
They
and then some old man comes out and he's just like, "Hey there, have some respect, little kids."
Some shopkeep
chases them away.
Is it the ice cream shop guy?
No, I don't know what store it was. He has an apron
on though.
Yeah.
I think that's just standard shopkeep look.
Draw me this guy. An ice cream shop, I guess.
So then they go. Is that when they go lay in the clouds? No, that's later. Isn't it?
I think.
Yeah, that's the clouds.
I think this is close to when they do the clouds. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, here's something I'm going to talk about, fellas. Listen to this line.
5-finger discount, man.
Well, yeah.
You guys
don't hear that phrase anymore.
With that?
Well, they have 4 fingers.
4 fingers. Yeah.
They have 4 fingers. Why is that?
Well, 3 fingers and a thumb.
Well, because that's the same.
Writers. Yeah,
writers. If they didn't change it to 4-finger discount, people still would have got the joke.
Well, they either didn't catch it or they did it on purpose
or they were just not clever.
30 years later when we would be discussing it.
To me, I feel like they missed it.
Yeah, they missed it. Probably a couple of weeks later or even years later, somebody thought about it damn it. That's what we should have done.
Yeah. It would be funny if they're still losing sleep at night over that. I mean, not funny. That's terrible.
I think they're fine on top of their pile of money. and they're
It's the
beautiful
greatest
pile of money
ladies.
with many
the greatest
beautiful
blunder
ladies.
of my career.
Mm.
Oh man.
So yeah,
Yeah, I
so
think
then they're
they're
looking
okay.
at the clouds and they're just like, clouds look like different stuff. And they're just like, no, they're not.
When you look up at clouds in the sky, they start looking like stuff. No, they don't. Yeah, they do. Like that one over there looks just like a cherry bomb. Hey, you're right. And look at that one. Looks like a guy with a switchblade stuck in his back. Yeah, that one looks like a school bus going over a cliff in flames with kids inside screaming.
There's so much detail in that one.
Oh man. And they do
But
look
they
like
all
those
they
things. It's
do
great.
look
Yeah.
exactly like those things. That's where Bart's just like, look at that one. It looks like our town founder, Jebediah Springfield. They're like,
He even
no,
says
it
it like a
doesn't. He's
nerd,
like,
though.
yeah,
It
but
looks like
without
our
the
town
head.
founder.
It is funny how nerdy he comes across, like how lame he sounds. Even though he's right, like you shouldn't like sneak into movies without paying. He just sounds lame when they're just like,
Yeah.
So then they're just like, it'd be great if somebody did cut the head off that statue. And Bart's like,
oh, this
really?
pisses me off. This pisses me off
we'll
so much.
we'll get
boy.
into it. We'll get into it. So he, thinks about that.
Sorry.
We forgot how much you love Jebediah Springfield.
Yeah, he's your boyfriend. Yeah.
They're such jerks. I don't know why he wants to hang around with them. Like,
Isn't his real name Hans Sprungfeld? Isn't that
Hans
Well, yes,
Sprungfeld.
eventually we get there.
Yeah,
But that's
the
another
silver-tongued pirate.
That's way later, yeah. So then Bart goes home and Homer's there.
The stealth bowler. The pins don't know what hit him.
I love that joke. It's not like laugh out loud funny, but it's very clever.
Yeah,
I think it's funny. Homer's taken in by these stupid bowling.
that's what I mean. He's
Liquid
looking
Center,
like a bowling
Baker.
ball
Liquid
magazine,
Center.
just like
Like, how is a bowling ball stealth aside from giving it that name and then coming up with the pun for like the pins?
I know.
It
is a great name, though.
Oh, it is.
Guys,
It is.
Continue. I just need like 1 second.
Yeah, man.
Yep. So then, Bart asks for a little fatherly advice from his dear father.
How important is it to be popular?
I'm glad you asked, son. Being popular is the most important thing in the world.
Dr. Baker, is it the most important thing in the world?
Like that's the theme that I was going to talk about this episode. We can just talk about it now.
Oh, is that good? Oh, no. Save it for your segment.
Well, briefly,
All right, cool.
I'll say this. Homer's advice is not good advice. He's setting Bart up for a lot of trouble and a lot of probably heartache,
In pain. Like physical pain, probably. Yeah. We were just talking about this, Francis.
How important is it to be popular?
I'm glad you asked, son. Being popular is the most important thing in the world.
Most important thing in the world.
Most important thing in the whole world.
Well, I just
so
love
you
how
tell your son, your young laddie, Francis, you say, look, young fella, being popular is the most important thing in the world.
Remember family, that's fine, but
but I love that Bart always comes to Homer with these like vague questions, and Homer's always too dumb to realize, well, he's obviously asking this for a reason where you talk about. He always reinforces the most shallow, negative aspect of it without a thought that like, oh, hey, he might be about to do something stupid. That's why he's asking me this.
It's also the way Bart words it to him. Like if Bart worded it, like, because Bart's just like, is popularity important? So Homer's not listening. So he's just like, of course it is. It's the most important thing ever. But if Bart had worded it, is popularity overrated, he would have been like, of course it is. Like, because it's just because he's not paying attention.
What is mine? No matter. What is matter? Never mind. Oh man. Yeah, his advice is just awful.
So Bart does it. He goes and he sneaks off in the middle of the night with his little he's sneaking around with his hacksaw.
Fun little ninja.
I was gonna do the science of how like easy or not easy it would be to cut the head off a bronze statue with a hacksaw.
I'm curious.
I do like his whole ninja get up.
Yeah, I like his ninja get up too.
So, little factoid about ninjas, boys. historically ninjas did not dress that way. They actually dressed ordinary to blend in. The reason that they are depicted that way is because they started being depicted that way in plays and like operas and things to make them more easily identifiable to the audiences. Like, oh, that's the ninja, like the guy that's obviously dressed like all in black with a mask, and the sinister all black dressed guy.
Or I suppose if you're an assassin, you probably don't want to like be able to be like, oh, hey, there's the assassin guys dressed in all black.
So more like Assassin's Creed type thing where they would like blend in the crowd, really quick strike. But it's cool getup. Right. And yeah, Davan, how long would it take to cut off the head? Like a long time, right?
I didn't bother getting into that. I was going to have to do that math myself. You can't just Google how long does it take to cut off the head off a bronze statue with a hacksaw.
Point is, with a hacksaw and Bart being like a 10-year-old boy,
it's impossible. Is the answer.
It would. Yeah, remember the movie Saw when they try to use a hacksaw to cut off those pipes? And it's just not possible.
Terrible movie. All right.
Hey,
so the next morning,
agree to disagree about that. I like the first Saw.
You take your war porn.
The first Saw was kind of a mindfuck because it was like the concept was new.
The concept was new. It was,
and it's not extremely gory, but it obviously by the second movie gets really schlocky.
Yeah, I only watched 1 and 2, and I never went back. But
so Bart gets up next morning, and he's got his head next to the head of Jebediah next to his bed. And homage to the Godfather.
Yeah,
Godfather.
Well, Francis and I love the Godfather.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Still the best movie experience I've ever had is me and Francis in a theater, pretty much by ourselves, with a big old thing of whiskey watching the Godfather.
We went to one of those like midnight movies when they were showing the Godfathers and like
I might have been at the same showing. I went to a midnight showing long ago of the Godfather. The first
would have been at what's the one downtown? Park Lane.
Yeah. I think that we were in the same theater, boys.
That's we were up in the back corner.
If you were one of the other 4 people there, we were hiding our whiskey from.
We could have shared a quart of whiskey in the back.
We finished that quart of whiskey. It's a long movie, but the two of us still finished that quart of whiskey.
There is also another, at least one more reference to that horse head moment, very iconic moment in The Godfather, when Lisa is given a pony by Homer. She wakes up and there's the horse head right next to her. She's like, ah! And then it licks her face and she's like, oh, it's a pony. Classic.
I mean, who has a pony? Am I right? I have a pony.
Hey, we can do a Seinfeld podcast maybe after we finish this.
Yeah, I've actually been watching a buttload of Seinfeld recently, but
it's fantastic.
Does The Simpsons ever reference Seinfeld?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Family Guy makes fun
of wait. Yeah, no. Selma or Patty, one of them suggests changing the name of Springfield to Seinfeld. Do you remember?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah.
That's
a little bass thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
a very
film festival episode.
Yeah. To generate buzz.
It's downstairs in the fams talking about the big issue in town that the head of the statue is missing. And Bart gets nervous because they're all mad about it and think it's a terrible thing that it happened.
Yeah, everybody is just heartbroken.
There's scenes from all over town. People are upset at Moe's, everywhere.
Yeah.
So then Bart leaves and he meets up with Jimbo, Dolph, and Kearney, and he wants to show them because at least they'll think it's cool, right?
I said
because they told him to do
it. Bart.
Go ahead, Bart. Tell them. It's the head of Jebediah Springfield.
Okay, I found this very funny because it's so infuriating. Like, it's like, what a slap in the face.
Yeah, I would be so pissed if I was Bart. Are you kidding me?
So, Baker, why don't you voice now why you were so mad at Jimbo and Kearney and Dolph?
Well, it's obvious. They were throwing rocks at Jebediah. They encouraged Bart to throw rocks as well. They then openly commented on how funny it would be if someone cut off his head. And then Bart does it. And now all of a sudden they like Jebediah. Like, where the hell is this coming from? It just is a complete
like that. Yeah.
It's a complete tonal shift. I guess it just shows how dumb they are, that they're just like, they're going with the flow of the town sentiment. Everyone's angry at it.
I just thought, well, yeah, that could be, or I just had to.
They were setting him up in the first place.
Well, no, it's like the whole.
I don't think they're clever enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the whole
you're
day
probably right.
before, Bart's trying, they're influencing him because he's trying to be cool with them. It's like, what if some of his nerdiness about Jebediah kind of rubbed off on them? So the next day they're like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Because Bart disrespecting them the way we are, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Bart is the youngest of them, but he's still the most intelligent and definitely sometimes takes a leadership role.
We've been over this. Bart's not stupid.
Yeah.
Bart's actually very
no,
smart.
No. He's shrewd. He's kind of dumb in like a book smart sense. But also
he's got ADHD very badly.
Just to emphasize how dumb these characters are, remember the mountain bikes. They get tricked into getting locked in the janitor's closet.
Oh, I love that. That's
for like a week. We'll ride the mountain bikes to Mexico and freedom, Willie.
But then the bullies start to say how they'll beat up whoever cut the head off the thing. So Bart gets nervous and doesn't show them the head because they're just playing him. And then, so then we see Jimbo asks Bart what's in the backpack. And he's just like, oh, nothing, don't worry about it. So then he runs away and he runs home. And back home, he's trying to bury the head in the backyard.
B should have been for bury the head. God, I'm stupid.
But then the rest of the family is watching Krusty on the TV, and that's where we see Krusty and Sideshow Bob for the first time.
Someone out there in Krusty Land who has committed an atrocity. If you know who cut off Jebediah's head, I don't care if it's your brother, your sister, your daddy, or your mommy, turn him in, and Krusty will send you a free slide whistle just like Sideshow Bob.
Look at Krusty's eye. Like, look how haggard he is and hungover. Look at his eye. Look at the bag under that eye. That's very intentional. They already knew he was like.
Oh yeah, he's a drug fiend.
Yeah, they knew who he was already. Like,
my favorite Krusty quote is just when he moaned. He's like, ugh.
That's what his doll does. You pull this.
Yeah, the doll just keeps repeating.
I gotta work on my Krusty impression, but I like doing the Krusty.
I would buy a Krusty doll that would.
I would.
You pull this thing.
Hey,
I know, right? Oh, what a good toy! They should sell those if they have it.
Briefly, we can also, I think, point out Krusty. He has a catchphrase, right? A couple you mentioned, but also the his laugh that he does. How many characters on The Simpsons have catchphrases? We're going to see this time and time again. Krabappel's, Bart's don't have a cow.
I laugh like Marge's voluntary. My laugh. And Marge is grown.
So basically, let's get through the synopsis. The Bart and Homer run the head back and try to fix it. And that's when they run into the mob. Have you seen me? And then it's very shocking. The TV6 is there, everybody. But then Bart tells his story, and look, even Sideshow Bob is impressed with the warm.
Hey, look, his hair
Bart's
switched.
Just like, look, I was a kid. I'm a kid. I'm foolish, but I've learned my lesson. And they're all like, you know what? This young lad's not so bad.
This must be the episode where he got the D Bart D tattoo, as an inspiration.
Maybe. That's a good point. So, but yeah, that's the end of the episode. The family forgives it, or the town forgives them, and then they put the head back on the top.
Yeah. Everything works out in the end, in a very rushed, partly unexplained manner.
This is going to be an interesting segment with so many characters being introduced in this episode.
Send in those soulful and doleful schmaltz by the bowlful.
They're already here.
It reminds me of going to YouTube and watch the first. Right in Pavarotti, Nessun Dorma. There's a bunch of him doing that, but the first video that'll come up likely, watch it and watch how he sees God at the end of it.
Okay.
Everybody said I don't believe in God, but Pavarotti does, and he sees him at the end of that song.
You don't have to believe in it to be moved by the concept, you know?
I know, like all my favorite music is all religious music, so it's just like I get it.
Yeah.
I just
Reverend
don't believe in
Lovejoy,
the
great
I'm not there
character.
with the science. I'm not jiving with I have to have the science jive, you know.
Yeah. I guess, can I start us off with side characters, since we're
Yeah,
talking about
absolutely.
believing in God? Reverend Lovejoy,
He
and
was
we'll
good.
get into his expanded family later on. I think he's a pretty funny character. I know there's other characters that are even funnier, but I figured I'd give him, you know, a little nod, because I know you guys are probably going to talk about some of the other characters we saw.
He's a very cynical character. He's very funny.
Yeah, he's religious. He is a true believer, but he
is.
lives more in the
But he's
world.
tired of the
than-
life too.
well, yeah, and he's more of a practical person than Flanders, who like is very stringent to the letter Christian, and yeah, it seems like Reverend Lovejoy. He loves his
He's always
trains.
just like, look, Ned,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to really
Yeah.
pay attention to
Yeah.
that part. And like he'll say stuff like that to Ned all the time.
And he's just like he's just jaded by like weeks and weeks of a congregation that doesn't really care too. Like, you know what I mean? Because there are some episodes where he's really preaching his ass off and people are just like not giving a fuck.
Yeah, he has to
Like,
proselytize
oh, I don't
to
know,
this,
you know,
to
one
the
of the lesser
Springfield.
apostles, you know,
Yeah.
like you know, Axel or whatever. Like,
I love my favorite is
Francis. Who's your
you
sideshow
go ahead.
spotlight?
Honorable mention to Sideshow Bob, even though he doesn't do anything this episode, just because he's Sideshow Bob. But I'm probably gonna have to go with Jimbo. He's good in this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Dude
go with
iced the bear with his bare hands.
Yeah. Oh wait, did I skip that? Hold on one sec.
Yeah, he did, but we were getting behind anyways. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all good. We have plenty of sound clips.
I just said I had a thing about the. Crap.
What's
Well,
your
I guess
favorite?
it's gone.
Yeah,
It was the clip about how. God, do I really not have that?
don't worry about it. What's your favorite side character?
Fine.
You know, Bart, when I was your age, I pulled a few boners.
Oh wait, I know where that clip is. I'll play the clip I want to play later. My favorite side character, I don't think we ever see her again, is the Sunday school teacher.
Yeah, she was good. She was good.
She was good in this, but I don't think we ever see her again, or maybe we do.
No,
see her
no,
just as
she
an
does.
extra kind of.
I think she has a couple other speaking lines.
Is she still the Sunday school teacher when Bart tries to go back because he likes Jessica, and she's like, "You were happy, we were happy."
Oh, I bet she is.
Particularly the hamsters at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think the Simpsons
that makes sense.
does bring her back a few times. She's definitely never a major character, but yeah, I think.
So I'm going to go with her because all the other characters who were introduced have way better episodes than this one.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Apu more. We're going to talk about Krusty more.
100%. And we'll get into
guys-
the controversy with Apu and everything eventually. Like, we'll get into everything with this show eventually. We have a lot of years ahead of us.
Yeah.
On this podcast. All right, let's move on.
What if your family don't like bread? It's funny because it's true.
Well absorbed.
Well absorbed. What if they like memes with Fat Maddie? All right. Now, to start you off here, Fat Maddie, I am going to play a clip. 1 second.
Jebediah Obadiah Zachariah Jedediah Springfield came west in 1838. Along the way, he met a ferocious bear and killed him with his bare hands. That's B-A-R-E, hands. Although modern historians recently uncovered evidence that the bear, in fact, probably killed him.
That's
I
my
love
favorite
that.
part. That's one
That's
of my
favorite
parts.
part.
Not just the Obadiah, Jedediah, Zachariah. That's all great.
The fact that he got
the
killed
bear
by
probably
the bear.
actually killed him.
Although we
that
later
long ass
learned
name.
that Hans Sprungfeld shot the bear, is what we later.
Yeah.
So, Francis, why did you pick Jebediah, Obadiah, Zachariah, Jedediah, Springfield as your meme?
Well, besides the obvious comic quality there, I've just been quoting that for years, like decades, and no one ever knows what the fuck I'm talking about. And I was like, this is it. This is it. This is how I'm going to reach the masses and educate them about Mr. Obadiah.
it's funny how things get stuck in your head like that, like little random references to The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I didn't remember this gag, but to you, like that was something you were constantly like saying, and people were like, "Huh?" If you said that to me, I might not quite catch it for The Simpsons.
Yeah, maybe not randomly.
Yeah.
Like maybe not randomly, but if anyone mentioned Jebediah Springfield, it'd be like Jebediah, Obadiah, Zachariah, Jedediah, and people are just like, I'm like,
memorize the order of those names, fellas. I guarantee you that's showing up on a future game.
All right.
So get it down.
Noted.
Yeah, excellent one, Francis. It's my favorite, actually. Even more
like
than the
dramatization.
Sunday school gag. That's actually my favorite gag.
I like how the last one is Jedediah. It's almost the exact same name. They just switch one.
It's still a name. Like these
I
are all
know.
real names, and that's what's so hilarious about it. It wouldn't have been as funny if they made up the names. It's so good. All right, let's move on to our next favored segment by the masses. I would assume.
I'm just wondering, what's the point? Would it make any difference at all if I never existed? How can we sleep at night when there's so much suffering in the world?
It's a good question.
What's the
Lisa.
point, Dr. Baker?
Peer pressure, social conformity, trying to fit in. It's a pretty common experience, I think, for young people. The way, at least like in the West, like here in Canada, in the United States, the way that people are socialized, sometimes it goes smoothly, but quite often, you experience feelings of being left out or not fitting in. Desire to fit in can often lead to you making decisions that aren't really healthy. Bart in this episode wants to impress the bad kids, so he starts doing bad things, even to the point where they are like, he goes beyond what they would do, right? So it shows how those kinds of influences and pressures can be like self-destructive. So yeah, be wary of peer pressure. We're going to see more of that in The Simpsons. Interesting little dynamic with
Bart
Bart.
falls for it all the time.
Well, because he's a bad boy in his own right, but then because they're older, right? And this is a very common thing too, right? You want to impress your elder peers. So Bart falls into this pattern, like this bad behavior, just because of the.
And often we see, like, especially in the later episodes, like Bart is, like I said, bad boy in his own right. But oftentimes when it comes to these three, like this like trio that they have, or even Nelson, like
Nelson's
they
leader.
look they look down on him, like he's not on their level. They still think he's a nerd. They still think he's a geek, even though in his circles he's a badass,
right?
Yeah.
Nelson actually, Nelson. Hold on, Nelson's Bart's age, right?
Yeah, these guys are older.
Well, I think he's failed a couple times.
Yeah, I'll have to revisit that as well.
I think they're all older than
all those characters.
But you don't always see Nelson with the other three. Sometimes he's a standalone, and it's the other three, and sometimes they're like a foursome.
Yeah, or sometimes it's
crew. Like he has the Weasels.
A couple of them. Yeah. Well, the Weasels become less of a thing, though. I feel like over time.
They do. But yeah, peer pressure. Don't fall for it, kids. Dr. Baker.
It's a tough thing. I don't have the answers, folks, but certainly that's the main.
You're supposed to have the answers.
Well, the answer is be yourself, I guess. Then be true to yourself. Don't succumb to peer pressure. Don't cut off the heads of statues.
That's better.
You happy?
Bart, when I was your age, I pulled a few boners.
Wow.
That's also a great line.
What can be said? What could
he didn't say tugged?
Yeah, I know. That would have been funny too, though. Actually,
the Greeks knew it. The Carthaginians knew it. Now you know it.
All right, fellas. I didn't know when I knew I was gonna talk about this eventually on this show, and I just didn't know when. But whereas it's Space Mutants 4, we're gonna talk about the 8-bit NES game Bart versus the Space Mutants, which was a huge part of my childhood. I know I didn't own that game, but I rented it all the time, and it was often set up in the machines when you'd go to department stores and things like that because it was a popular brand. So I would often play it there. So I've played the first level a million times. But you know what? I've never beaten that game because it's friggin' hard. But it was released in 1992 for Nintendo, Amiga, Amstrad CPC, Atari, Commodore, and the ZX Spectrum. And that was in 91, actually. And in 92, it came out for Sega and Sega Master System and Sega Game Gear, produced by Acclaim Entertainment. And it was a great. Look, it's not the greatest game in the world, but it looks really good for a Nintendo game. It looks really
and
good.
it
Like it looks
sold
like it's right out of
well.
The Simpsons.
Yeah,
it sold
Simpsons
very well.
was so hot at that time that any like third-party media was very popular. Including
Look,
video
most, and I'm an old school guy. I like 16 bits better than 8 bits, but I still enjoy some NES. But most NES games do not hold up. They were just
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah, like I love Zelda, for example, but I can't.
Like one of the
I can't
lead
get into the first
video
one.
game developers.
The NES Zeldas are terrible.
Well, no, for their day, they were like some of the better games on that system. But that's again not saying
For their day, yeah.
Most NES doesn't.
I also haven't played them in like, I don't know, 30
But honestly, the Contra games, go play them anytime. NES.
Oh, I love Contra.
Some of the
Let's all get
most
together
fun
and
you'll
play
ever
Contra.
have.
Contra
I got them all
stream
here,
one of these
man.
days.
I got the
I
Super
know you
Nintendo
do.
one
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
We'll play
and a
some
pool
freaking
table.
Contra. Not anymore.
Oh no! Ah, well.
Fatherhood.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Yeah. My pool table.
You traded your
was
pool
just
table for a daughter?
For a
I guess
baby,
that's a
yep.
pretty good trade.
Don't
Yeah,
let
yeah.
Davan talk you into playing NBA Jam. It's a trick. It's
Okay.
a fucking trap.
It's not a trick.
It's a trap.
Razzle dazzle.
He's
I like
unbeatable.
to razzle dazzle.
The first video game that we've
You know what's really fun though? Having Francis beat you the entire game and just like shooting from the other end of the court at the very end of the game.
I'm not even
and
having
winning
this
the game.
conversation.
It's quite fun.
I'm not even talking about this. I'm gonna turn this thing off.
Talking about NBA Jam, we're talking about The Simpsons.
Yes.
But
Let's get back.
NBA Jam
That's
is
what
great,
I'm saying.
especially when you're playing against Francis. That's all I'm saying. But
So
yeah,
this
so that's all I
first-
want to say. It was a big game for me. I rented it all the time. It's a play off of like the stuff you see in this episode and other times when they show the Space Mutants movies and stuff, which does happen a few more times. And,
Anything comes up
Prior to
but
Kang
it's
and
also-
Kodos.
It's also a play off of They Live, the movie starring Rowdy
Yeah,
Roddy Piper and Keith
classic.
David. where
Put
they
on the
sunglasses.
glasses. Yeah.
But that's what
Yeah.
Bart has to do in this game, and then he has to
Yeah.
spray paint the aliens so that everyone can see them. That's basically what how the game works, and it's hard. It's kind of slow. The controls are a little weird, but it's fun. It's actually
We've talked about this. Designed to eat quarters.
worth playing.
That's how games used to work. Yeah, they
well,
weren't
that
meant
wasn't
to
an
be
arcade
easy.
game. That game wasn't designed to eat quarters. It was just it happened to be made hard.
Well, I guess so that you keep playing it longer. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, well, they didn't want their games to be beaten in the first hour you buy it, because then they don't feel like they're worth $50 and they don't sell the next game. So there is that.
Yeah, fair.
And that's what I liked about games. They weren't just time sucks back then, where it's just like as long as the player has to put 12 hours into it to beat it, you have a successful game.
I also think too, like in the
early.
earlier days, like sort of the barometer of like where the difficulty level of a thing should be was like a little harder to like pin down. They probably go, "This is a medium difficulty game," and you're like, "Actually, no, it's fucking impossible."
Well, there were broken games like Silver Surfer for the NES is broken. You can't beat it. Like, you can't even get past level 1. That game is so insane. No one should ever buy it. And I love the Silver Surfer, but not that game. So that's history antiques with Davan. So let's get to I know Francis and Baker's favorite part of the show, because they're very competitive fellas.
Now, let's have even more fun.
Let's have some more fun with Principal Skelhorn here. You guys ready?
Yes.
Okay. So as our regular listeners know, they'll know what's about to happen here, but we'll explain it for the new listeners. I have many games I present these fellows with, but this one, more fun with Principal Skelhorn. I will display a character, and they will have to tell me the character's name, and there may or may not be a follow-up question regarding that character to score more points. So, you guys ready?
Yes, but we should pick it up because we're already over time.
Who is this?
That's
God,
Hans.
I know his name. Yes.
Uter.
Uter. Yeah.
What is his last name?
I don't remember. Uter von Grotten. That sounds right.
Zorker.
Not even close. I get
1
half
point to
a
Baker
point, I
for
guess.
Uter, though. And as usual, remember your own scores, fellas. I have enough to do. All right.
All right, 1 point. I got my finger held up.
Just I'm warming up, guys. I'm warming up. All right.
Lightning round.
Next.
Let's keep them going.
Who is this?
This is a hard one.
I don't even know if I recognize him.
I know, but why can't I place it?
5, 4.
I'll tell you the
3.
episode. He's in the one where Homer becomes a country singer manager.
Yeah, it's Lurling's manager. Probably just can't remember his name.
I
Or the
barely
guy who hosts
remember that episode.
He like hosts that show they go on, Yodeling Zeke.
Yodeling Zeke. All right.
Yodeling Zeke. All right.
That's an old one. I haven't seen that one in ages.
Who is this character?
Shoot, isn't that what's his name's wife? Reagan's wife? No. I recognize her. I
don't got it.
Yeah. All right, Mary Bailey.
That's the person Marge likes to vote for instead of Quimby. That's Mary.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
Ooh, these are obscure. I like it though. I like when they're hard.
Yeah, it's jogging the memory. I like that. It's getting me
all right, fellas. Who's
excited
this?
for these episodes.
Oh, he's the dean, but what's his name?
I'll give you 1 point for the dean.
Yeah, give him a point.
What's his name?
He knows it's the dean. I don't remember his name.
Another point for the name.
Oh, just kidding.
3.
Oh no! All I know is they're Brabant better work nerdlinger.
Dean Bitterman. That sounds about right.
Yeah. What institution is Dean Bitterman the dean of?
I don't know, but the frat is Chugalug House.
Guesses?
I don't know.
Springfield University. You should have just guessed.
I gotta use the washroom.
How can it be Springfield? It's a show they watch. Why would the show be based in Springfield?
No, that's Homer goes to that university.
No, because the dean at that university is the hip guy. Dean Bitterman's from that show they watch, like a Brabant better work nerdlinger. And like
you got it mixed up. The guy who plays in The Replacements is the guy, the hip guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy used to be a bass player.
All right, 1 point apiece. Who is this?
Still neck and neck.
Oh, that's
Joe Quimby's wife.
Yeah, it might be Quimby's wife. It could be the wife of George W. Bush, though. Or George H. W.
1
Bush.
point for Quimby's wife. Another point if you know her name. So Francis is up 2-1.
Yeah, just give it to Francis.
I don't know her name. Her eyes are weird.
Martha Quimby. Of course, it's
Martha.
Yeah.
All right. Who is this?
All right, I'm just gonna say, can we give this one to Francis? I don't know who that is.
He's like they're Australian fucking Indiana Jones knockoff, but I don't know his name.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
It's Milhouse's uncle Norbert Van
Houten.
Houten.
I literally don't remember this episode.
Obscure.
This must be like season.
So
12.
if I were to ask you for another point, what country he's from, you wouldn't be able to tell.
No, like I said, can we just end this now? Give it to Francis. We're already 10 minutes.
You'll be all right for another 5 minutes, Baker. All right. Who does this guy work for?
I know it, but I'm just
the IRS.
I was gonna say the IRS, but I thought it was something else.
All right, there's 2 more. Who is this guy?
Oh, Brad Goodman.
I can't believe you got that. That is Brad Goodman.
Out of all those other ones, you can't believe I got this one.
Well, he's very obscure.
Yeah, no, I remember.
All right. What What institution does this character work for? This is the last one.
NASA.
Wow. Yeah, Francis killed it. All right. Francis is the winner of More Fun. Good job. I need to get like
good job,
a
Francis.
canned like applause for the winner. I'll do that for next episode. All right, Baker, you can get out of here if you want.
All right, yeah, I would
Baker,
give this
Baker has
episode
to pee or
a
something.
4. I have to use the washroom, okay? So I'm gonna go destroy a urinal cake, and you guys, you can hash out the ratings a little more. But yeah, I'd give this one a 4. This was, or even a, 3. Actually, I'd bump it down to a 3.
Yeah, I
There's
agree.
a couple
3.
funny points, and usually when they're not funny, they make up on it with the heart. But the heart was even kind of lazy. I'll give it a 3.
Yeah.
And like bad advice, the heart was all like bad advice and shit. It's like it wasn't good heart.
Well, you're supposed to, you're supposed to take.
Well, he
out
comes
of it that that's
to at
not
the
the
end.
correct way to do things. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
Yeah,
have a good
3s
night,
across
guys.
the board. Yeah, later.
Sam likes it. Sam
You
gives it
can
a
find-
5.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. 5's not bad for these early ones. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can contact us at kbbbblpodcast@gmail.com. Audio-only version wherever you get your podcasts, and we are a proud member of the United Federation of Podcasts. That's us. And in this federation, we have Hold Up, the movie podcast, which we did yesterday. Oh my, it got fiery. Cousin Dave was a firecracker. It was the politics episode. We got into it. Dr. Strangelove. You ever seen that, Francis?
It's been a while, but yeah.
What a great movie. One of my favorite movies ever. I hadn't seen it before, but it blew my
It's like
mind.
Dr. Strangelove or How I Learned to Love the Bomb or something like that. It's like the full thing.
Oh, man, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Also, check out Super Mario Brothers, where they review reality shows. Check out X-Rated, my X-Men podcast. We interview people. We review episodes. My co-host on that has the Graphic Histories podcast, where he interviews people in film, comics, a lot of in-depth interviews too. A lot of two-parters recently. Lots of good stuff happening there. Check out the Hellbound podcast with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan. They talk about horror. They interview people in the horror world as well, I believe. And also check out Trivial Debates. Next one coming up, hosted by Jaemeel Robinson, will be about reality shows. Competing is, I don't know this guy. They call him Foster. Foster, we'll call him. And then there's also competing is my cousin Jeff and my cousin Dave. Brothers, they are brothers. They are the Super Mario brothers, and they'll be battling. And also Live Long podcast, where we talk about Star Trek. We review episodes there. In the Ops division, we do radio theater, things like that. In my science division, we do deep dives. We launch probes. We debate. We figure out the science of things. And in Locutors of Trek, Treckle Trunk. Yeah, well, that's one of the things we do. There we go. Locutors of Trek. Me and Dave do stuff. Francis plays music with us. Sometimes that ends up on the channel as well. So, it'll happen. 3 tunes from the Taylor Shop. That's one of our segments. But that's, all our shows here in the Mighty Federation. And any final thoughts there, Francis?
No, I'm good, man.
Me too.
I wish I had something
All right.
profound or a nice end to the episode, but yeah, I got nothing. I'm weak.
Don't cut the heads off statues. Takes too long.
Yeah, don't cut the heads off
and
statues.
You'll probably
It's
regret
probably
it
impossible.
the second you do it.
And in real
As
life,
soon
you'll
as it hits
probably
the
go to
ground.
jail or at least pay a very hefty fine, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, that would be a hefty fine, wouldn't it? Yeah, you don't want to pay that fine, people.
It'd be a statue
All right.
replacing fine.
Later, everybody. Catch you next week.
Later.
KBBBL Podcast. Where the extra B is for BYOBB.
Where's my